Welcome to the channel. If you're living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area right now and renting, you're probably asking yourself one major question in 2025. Is it smarter to keep renting, or is it finally time to buy a home? You might be watching mortgage rates, seeing headlines about the market cooling off, or hearing your landlord say your rent is going up again. And yet you hesitate because buying a home sounds like something far off. Something only other people do. Something you're not ready for. This video is going to change that. Today we're speaking directly to renters who feel stuck. Stuck in lease after lease. Stuck in rising payments. Stuck thinking you can't afford to buy a home in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're going to break down the reality of renting in 2025, show you the truth about what it takes to buy a home right now, and explain why waiting might be the most expensive decision you could make. No hype. No pressure. Just a real conversation about what's happening across Dallas-Fort Worth and how it affects you. Let's start with the basics. If you're renting a one-bedroom apartment in Dallas, you're likely paying anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 per month right now. In Fort Worth, maybe slightly less, between $1,300 and $1,800 depending on amenities. If you've got a roommate or a family, you're probably in a two-bedroom and paying around $2,000 to $2,600 monthly, and that doesn't include parking, pet fees, utilities, or security deposits. Multiply that by 12 months and you're spending between $20,000 and $30,000 a year on something you don't own. If you've been renting for the past 5 years, even at modest rates, you've already spent more than $100,000. And none of that money is building anything for you. No equity. No ownership. No return. You're not just paying rent. You're funding someone else's mortgage. That's the hard truth about renting. It feels comfortable, it feels flexible, and it feels temporary. But over time it becomes a trap because the longer you rent, the harder it is to save. And in Dallas-Fort Worth, rent isn't slowing down. Since the year 2021, rent prices in Dallas have gone up more than 20%. In Frisco, it's even higher. Even traditionally affordable areas like Arlington, Mesquite, and Grand Prairie have seen 15 to 25% rent growth in just the last 3 years. If you're renewing a lease in 2025, there's a good chance your monthly cost will increase again. Meanwhile, the moment you decide to buy, you put a stop to that uncertainty. You freeze your housing payment. You lock in your cost of living. And every month, instead of losing money, you're paying down a loan, building wealth. A lot of renters hesitate because they've been told for years that they're not ready to buy. You might think you need a perfect credit score, a huge down payment, or that the market is too unstable. Let's break through those myths right now. First, you do not need 20% down to buy a home. That's one of the most damaging misconceptions still floating around. In reality, many buyers in Dallas-Fort Worth are purchasing homes with as little as 3 to 5% down. Some loan programs even allow zero down, especially for qualified first-time buyers. If you're buying a $300,000 home, and yes, there are still good homes at that price in Dallas-Fort Worth, 5% down is just $15,000. And with certain programs, you can roll closing costs into the loan or negotiate seller-paid credits. Builders in areas like Forney, Little Elm, and Princeton are offering up to $10,000 in incentives for first-time buyers right now. Second, you don't need perfect credit. A score in the low 600s may still qualify depending on your income and debt. Many lenders will work with you to improve your score and optimize your approval. The key is to talk to a mortgage advisor early, not after you fall in love with a house. Third, yes, mortgage rates are higher than they were a few years ago. But here's what most renters forget. Rates go up and down, but home prices only go one direction over time, and that's up. You can always refinance later when rates drop. But you can't go back and buy a home at 2022 prices. Every month you wait, prices go up a little more. Every month you wait, you're paying rent instead of building equity. Every month you wait, you're letting time work against you instead of for you. Let's talk numbers. If you can afford $2,000 per month in rent, which most renters in Dallas-Fort Worth are already paying, then you can afford to buy a home in the $280,000 to $320,000 range, depending on your down payment and credit. With a modest 5% down and current interest rates around 6.8%, that monthly mortgage could look like $2,050, including property taxes and insurance. And that's before considering potential tax deductions, which can bring your effective cost even lower. In neighborhoods like Roy City, Anna, Aubrey, and even parts of Fort Worth, that price range still gets you a 3-bedroom home under 10 years old in a clean community with parks, schools, and space. In places like Forney or Princeton, it might even be new construction. The most important thing is this: that payment goes toward your future. It pays down principal. It builds equity. And if home prices continue to rise, which they are, you also gain appreciation on top of that. Let's say you buy a $300,000 home in 2025. In 5 years, that home could be worth $340,000, even with modest annual growth. That's $40,000 in equity just from market value, plus whatever you've paid into the loan. That's money you can borrow against. Money you can sell and cash out. Money you can use to upgrade. It's your money. Compare that to 5 more years of renting at $2,000 per month. You'll spend $120,000 and end up exactly where you started. Now you might be asking, what about the risk? What if the market crashes? What if I lose my job? What if something breaks in the house? These are valid concerns. But here's the thing, there's risk in everything, including renting. What happens when your landlord sells the property? What happens when your lease goes up by $300? What happens when your building stops maintaining basic services? Owning a home doesn't eliminate risk, but it gives you control. You're not waiting for someone else to make decisions about your future. And in today's Dallas-Fort Worth market, we're not seeing signs of a crash. We're seeing signs of normalization. The bidding wars are gone. Homes are sitting on the market a little longer. Sellers are negotiating again. And builders are offering incentives they weren't offering a year ago. This is a rare window of opportunity when buyers actually have leverage again. Let's say you're a renter in Arlington paying $1,900 a month. You've got a stable job, a 650 credit score, and $8,000 saved. 2 years ago, you would have been outbid in minutes. Today, you could buy a $275,000 home with 3% down, negotiate $5,000 in closing costs from the seller, and move in with less money out of pocket than your last 2 apartment leases combined. And instead of calling the landlord for permission to hang a picture, you're calling the shots. It's your home, your space, your asset. You might also be thinking, what if I'm not ready to settle down? What if I want to move in a few years? You don't need to live in the same home forever for it to make sense financially. If you stay in the home for 3 to 5 years, you're likely to build equity, even if you move later. And if you move and don't want to sell, you can rent it out. In most Dallas-Fort Worth cities, rental demand is strong enough that even modest homes rent quickly. Your first home can become your first investment property. Ownership creates options. Renting does not. You may not be able to afford your dream home right now, and that's okay. Most people's first home is not their forever home, but it is their first step toward stability, toward wealth, toward a future they control. You're not too late. You're right on time. The question is not whether you can afford to buy. The question is whether you can afford to keep renting. And if the answer is no, it's time to take the next step. If you've ever looked at home prices in Dallas, Fort Worth, or any of the surrounding suburbs and thought, there's no way I can afford to buy here, you're not alone. And yet, thousands of first-time buyers are purchasing homes across the Dallas-Fort Worth metro every month. Not because they're wealthy, but because they understand one key truth. Buying a home isn't about keeping up with the headlines. It's about knowing where the real opportunities still exist. In 2025, Dallas-Fort Worth isn't one housing market. It's dozens of local markets, each moving at its own pace. Some cities have priced out the average first-time buyer. Others still offer solid value, if you know where to look and what you can afford. Let's begin with the city of Dallas. is the biggest name in the Metroplex and often the first city that comes to mind. But with an average home price around $400,000, it's no longer considered affordable for most first-time buyers. That said, Dallas isn't a single neighborhood. It's made up of dozens of smaller communities, and in some of those areas, opportunity still exists. In southern and western Dallas, including areas like Pleasant Grove, Oak Cliff, and Redbird, you can still find three-bedroom homes built in the 1980s or 90s for under $300,000. Some may need light renovation. Others are move-in ready. These homes may not come with granite countertops or open-concept layouts, but they offer you what no apartment ever will: ownership. When it comes to buying smart, strategy beats location. You do not need to live in Uptown or Deep Ellum to build equity. You need to own property in an area that is appreciating steadily, with a payment you can manage and where demand is consistent. Now let's look west toward Fort Worth. Compared to Dallas, Fort Worth offers a quieter lifestyle, wider streets, and lower housing costs. The average home price is around $340,000, and many areas still have homes under $300,000, especially in neighborhoods like Benbrook, Forest Hill, and White Settlement. Fort Worth also offers new construction in places like Haslett, North Fort Worth, and around Alliance Airport. These communities often feature homes in the $300,000 to $350,000 range, built by major national home builders. You may not get a huge backyard, but you will get a new roof, a 10-year warranty, energy-efficient features, and builder-paid closing costs in many cases. Another key advantage of Fort Worth is that property taxes in Tarrant County are often slightly lower than in Collin or Denton counties. That can lower your monthly mortgage payment by $100 or more, which is a big deal when you're comparing that to what you're paying in rent. Frisco is one of the most talked about suburbs in North Texas. It has excellent schools, luxury shopping, tech campuses, and master-planned communities. But that also means it's among the most expensive cities in the metro. The average home price in Frisco is over $580,000. That makes it one of the least accessible areas for first-time buyers in 2025. So if you can't afford Frisco, where should you look? Look just a few miles north, to Salina. Salina is no longer a small farming town. It's one of the fastest-growing cities in Texas, and yet home prices are still within reach. You can find new construction homes in the mid-300s to low 400s. Builders are offering generous incentives, and city infrastructure is expanding fast, including new schools, grocery stores, and commercial developments. Buying in Salina today is like buying in Frisco 15 years ago. You're getting in early before prices explode. A home you buy now for $380,000 could be worth over $450,000 in just 3 to 5 years. If you want a home that will likely grow in value quickly, Salina is one of your best bets. Forney is another suburb that should be at the top of every first-time buyer's list. Located just east of Dallas, Forney is known for affordable new construction, with many homes priced under $320,000. You can find brand new 3-bedroom homes with garages, open layouts, and smart home features, all for what you're currently paying in rent. And with builders like D.R. Horton, Lenner, and Bloomfield Homes active in the area, competition is high and deals are on the table. Forney School District is also improving rapidly, with new campuses, programs, and a strong investment in technology. The city is growing but still retains a small-town feel. That makes it perfect for buyers who want both affordability and peace of mind. Let's move on to McKinney. This city has been a favorite for years and for good reason. McKinney offers top-rated schools, beautiful parks, a historic downtown, and a high quality of life. But it's no longer cheap. The average home price is over $500,000. However, there are still parts of McKinney, especially in the southern and eastern sections, where homes built in the early 2000s are selling in the low to mid-300s. These are well-built homes, many with brick exteriors, 2-car garages, and access to great school zones. In today's market, that combination is rare. The trick in McKinney is speed. Inventory is tight, and homes that are priced right move quickly. If you're prepared with a pre-approval letter and flexible on your move-in date, you can still compete here, but you need to be ready to act fast. Wylie is another city that deserves attention. It sits northeast of Dallas, near Lake Lavon, and offers a small-town feel with great schools and good value. Home prices in Wylie average around $370,000, but there are still homes under that mark, especially older homes or those located slightly farther from the highway. Wylie is ideal for buyers who prioritize quiet neighborhoods, good schools, and community engagement. The downtown area is growing, and parks and trails make it popular with young families. Now let's talk about Little Elm. This suburb offers water access, new homes, and prices that are still below nearby cities like Frisco or Prosper. With average home prices around $360,000, Little Elm remains a strong value in 2025. You can still find homes in the low 300s in areas like Paloma Creek or Sunset Point. Many of these communities offer amenities like pools, playgrounds, and walking trails, and they're zoned to quality school districts like Little Elm ISD and parts of Frisco ISD. If you're a first-time buyer who wants suburban life with a bit of nature and a shorter commute to North Dallas, Little Elm offers a compelling balance. So where should you buy? That depends on what you value most. If your top priority is getting in under $300,000 with new construction and builder incentives, then Forney and parts of Fort Worth are your best options. If you want strong appreciation and don't mind driving a little farther, Salina gives you the best long-term return on investment. If you want charm, schools, and a strong sense of community, Wylie and McKinney give you that, if you act quickly. And if you're looking for a scenic, balanced lifestyle near water, Little Elm is where you should be looking. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but the big takeaway is this. There are still cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro where first-time buyers can afford to buy smart. The key is not to wait until things feel perfect. Because the truth is the market will never feel perfect. There will always be noise, uncertainty, and reasons to hesitate. But buyers who educate themselves, get pre-approved, and step forward despite uncertainty are the ones who win. They're the ones who stop renting and start building. They're the ones who take control of their future housing costs. And they're the ones who create financial stability that renting can never provide. When you buy a home, you're not just purchasing 4 walls and a roof. You're buying consistency. You're buying leverage. You're buying into your own future. You don't need to wait for a crash. You don't need to wait for the perfect credit score. You don't need to wait for marriage, kids, or a raise. If you're renting right now and your lease is about to renew, ask yourself this. Would you rather sign another 12-month agreement to keep paying more rent, or use those next 12 months to start building equity? Because across Dallas-Fort Worth, buyers are still buying. And the ones who make the move in 2025 will be the ones who look back in 5 years and say, I'm glad I did it when I did. If you've been renting for years, it can be easy to forget how much money has slipped through your hands. Rent feels like just another monthly expense, but over time, it adds up to an enormous financial loss, one that rarely leads to stability. Let's imagine you have been paying $2,000 a month for rent. In just 1 year, that's $24,000. In 5 years, that's $120,000, and not a single dollar of that builds equity or security. It's all gone. Now imagine you had used that same money to buy a home. Even with average appreciation and a modest loan, that home could now be worth significantly more than what you paid. You would have built equity, gained value, and secured your housing costs for the long term. This is not a hypothetical. It's what thousands of homeowners in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are experiencing right now. Renters are not just losing money. They're losing time. Time they will never get back. Every month you stay in a rental, you are paying down someone else's mortgage. Every year you wait, home prices go up. And every rent increase brings you no closer to ownership, only further from it. When you own your home, your payments stay stable. Your future becomes more predictable. You gain the ability to plan, to build wealth, and to create options. This is about more than just housing. It's about freedom. Freedom from the annual lease renewal stress. Freedom from rent hikes. Freedom from inspections, pet restrictions, and parking limitations. Owning a home gives you the power to decide what happens inside your space and what happens next in your financial future. Still, many renters hesitate because of fear. Fear that they don't earn enough. Fear that they don't know how the process works. Fear that something will go wrong. But fear fades when you get informed. The truth is, most first-time buyers already have what it takes. They just need to start. If you've been paying rent on time for the last 12 months, you already have proof that you can handle a mortgage. If your credit is fair and your income is steady, there are programs built for you. Many with low down payment options and some with closing cost assistance. Lenders in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are working with first-time buyers every day. Builders are offering incentives. Real estate agents are guiding people like you through the process with care and strategy. You are not alone in this. And remember, you do not need a 5-bedroom dream house to start building wealth. Your first home does not need to be forever, it only needs to be smart. Something affordable. Something solid. Something that gets you started. Many buyers in 2025 are purchasing homes between $280,000 and $320,000. Homes that cost about the same monthly as rent, but provide ownership, equity, and financial growth. You are not too late. The market has not passed you by. In fact, this is the first time in several years that buyers are getting some leverage again. Interest rates may be higher than they were 3 years ago, but home prices are stabilizing, seller concessions are back, and builders are competing for new buyers. These conditions give you negotiating power. You can lock in a fixed monthly payment, secure a home you own, and take your first step off the rental treadmill. And here's something else most renters overlook. Once you own a home, you have the option to rent it out later. If life changes and you need to relocate, that home becomes an asset. You can turn it into a rental property and let it work for you. That's something rent will never do. Rent is gone the moment you pay it. Homeownership creates options that grow with you. So ask yourself this: what is really stopping you? Is it uncertainty? Is it a belief that buying is only for people with more money, more knowledge, or more confidence? Because the truth is, buying a home is for anyone willing to take the first step. It is for people who are tired of making rent payments with no return. It is for people who want to build something, for themselves, their families, or their future. In 2025, the Dallas-Fort Worth housing market still offers that opportunity. In places like Forney, Little Elm, Salina, Fort Worth, and parts of McKinney and Wiley, first-time buyers are still closing deals, moving into homes and building wealth. They are not waiting for perfect timing. They are not waiting for rates to drop. They are not waiting for someone to give them permission. They are moving forward because they know the longer they wait, the more they lose. And what they gain by acting now is something no apartment lease can offer: ownership, equity, and a permanent place in the community. If you're watching this and wondering if it's possible for you, it is. If you're not sure where to start, that's okay. Start by talking to a lender. Start by looking at your monthly budget. Start by asking questions and running numbers. Start small, but start now. This isn't about buying a big house or impressing anyone. It's about getting out of the cycle that is holding you back. It's about replacing rent receipts with mortgage statements. Replacing uncertainty with a plan. Replacing temporary with permanent. When you rent, your money works for someone else. When you own, your money works for you. And the longer you rent, the longer it takes to get that money working on your side. You have a choice. You can sign another lease, watch your rent go up again, and stay exactly where you are. Or you can take the first step toward ownership, toward equity, toward freedom. That decision is yours. If this video helped you understand what's possible, subscribe to the channel for weekly updates on the Dallas-Fort Worth housing market. In the description below, you'll find a free rent versus buy calculator, a first-time buyer guide for 2025, and direct links to trusted professionals who can help you get started. The path to homeownership begins when you stop waiting. Now is your moment. Take it.